All right, welcome back, everyone. Today, we're taking a deep dive into, well, a book you guys specifically requested,
Oh,
actually.
cool.
Yeah, The Innovator's DNA.
Awesome.
You wanted the inside scoop on what makes these, innovative minds tick. And
Yeah.
luckily, this book seems to crack the code.
It really does.
Yeah.
It's fascinating because it moves beyond this idea of innovation being this mystical talent you're either born with or not.
Right, right.
It breaks down the process into 5 learnable skills that anyone can cultivate.
5 skills. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm already intrigued.
Uh-huh.
What exactly are these secret weapons of the innovator's arsenal?
Well, the book calls them discovery skills,
Hmm.
and they're all about how you engage with the world around you.
Okay.
The first one, associating, is all about making connections between seemingly unrelated ideas,
Okay.
problems, or experiences.
So kind of like those shower thoughts moments where you suddenly connect two random things and think, wait a minute.
Exactly. The authors call it the Medici effect, referencing this explosion of creativity during the Renaissance when artists, scientists, and thinkers from all walks of life collided.
Mm-hmm.
They argue that you can create your own Medici effect
Okay.
by actively seeking out diverse experiences and perspectives.
Okay, I'm starting to see how this works.
Yeah.
But how do we go from simply making connections to actually innovating?
That's where the other 4 skills come in.
Okay.
Questioning, observing, networking, and experimenting.
Okay.
They're like the engine that drives the innovative process.
Gotcha. Let's break those down, starting with questioning.
Sure.
I feel like anyone can ask a question.
Right.
So what makes an innovator's questions different?
It's not just about asking any question.
Yeah.
It's about asking the right questions,
Mhm.
the ones that challenge assumptions
Okay.
and push the boundaries of conventional thinking.
I like that.
The book calls these disruptive questions.
So not just what's for lunch, but more like, what if lunch could be delivered by drones directly to my rooftop?
Exactly. They have a great example of this top consultant, Orit Gadish,
Whoa, okay.
who's known for asking these questions that cut to the core of a problem and force people to rethink their entire approach.
Interesting.
She doesn't settle for surface-level answers.
Okay.
She keeps digging deeper with why until she uncovers the root cause.
That's powerful.
Right.
Yeah, it reminds me of that saying, the quality of your answers depends on the quality of your question.
Absolutely.
So we've got associating and questioning.
Yep.
What about observing?
Well, observing for an innovator is about going beyond passively seeing. It's about actively absorbing details
So.
and understanding the world around them.
Uh-huh.
The book highlights Ratan Tata, chairman of Tata Motors,
Okay.
whose keen observation of Indian families struggling on scooters in the rain
Oh, wow.
inspired the ultra-affordable nano car.
Wow, that's a perfect example of how paying attention to seemingly mundane details can spark a game-changing innovation.
Right.
It makes me wonder what I'm not noticing in my own life.
But observing and questioning, that's still mostly happening inside your own head, right?
True.
Yeah.
But that's where networking comes in.
Okay.
And not just the kind you do at cocktail parties, you know?
Right, right.
This is about connecting with people from diverse backgrounds and disciplines
Yeah.
to gain new perspectives and insights.
I can see how that would be crucial, especially after you've been associating and questioning
Yes.
and generating all these ideas.
Yes.
You need other people to bounce those ideas off of and get feedback.
Precisely. The book even suggests building a personal board of directors.
Oh, interesting.
This small group of trusted advisors who can challenge your thinking and offer diverse viewpoints.
I like that.
They share the story of Mike Lazaridis, the co-founder of BlackBerry,
Okay.
whose idea for the smartphone was sparked by a conversation with, believe it or not, a high school teacher.
High school teacher. Wow, that just goes to show that you never know where inspiration might come from. Exactly. It underscores the importance of exposing yourself to different perspectives and having those serendipitous conversations.
Yeah.
You never know what spark might ignite a breakthrough idea.
Okay, so we've covered associating, questioning, observing, and networking.
Uh-huh.
That leaves us with experimenting,
Yeah.
which seems pretty self-explanatory.
Yeah.
But what does experimenting look like for an innovator?
It's about trying new things,
Okay.
testing assumptions, and not being afraid to fail.
Okay.
Steve Jobs' fascination with calligraphy, for example,
Right.
later influenced the iconic typography of the Macintosh computer.
I never knew that. It's fascinating how seemingly unrelated interests can inform and shape innovations in unexpected ways.
Absolutely. Experimenting can take many forms, from tinkering with prototypes
Yeah.
to launching pilot programs
Uh-huh.
to simply trying out a new approach in your work.
Okay.
The key is to view failure as an opportunity to learn and refine your approach.
That makes sense.
Yeah,
It's about embracing that fail fast, learn faster mentality.
exactly. It's a crucial part of the iterative process of innovation.
So these 5 discovery skills,
Yeah,
they're the building blocks of the innovator's DNA.
they are.
Okay.
And the book goes on to explore how companies can cultivate this DNA within their organizations,
Uh-huh.
how leaders can foster an innovative culture,
Okay.
and how individuals can apply these skills to their own lives and careers.
This is already giving me so much to think about. I'm already starting to see the world differently, noticing connections I might have missed before.
That's the power of understanding the innovator's DNA.
Yeah.
It gives you a framework for thinking about innovation in a whole new way.
Awesome. All right, listeners, we're going to pick up right here with all these great ideas in our next part. See you there.
Sounds good.
Yeah.
So, welcome back. I'm excited to dig into some real-world examples of how these 5 discovery skills have been applied, you know?
Yeah, me too.
It's one thing to talk about them in theory,
Right.
but seeing them in action is truly inspiring.
I'm with you on that. Stories always help these concepts stick. Exactly. Where should we start?
Let's begin with associating.
Right.
Remember the Medici effect we discussed?
Yeah.
One of the most fascinating examples from the book is about Dr. William Hunter, who invented the drug-coated stent.
Right. A revolutionary invention in the medical field.
Exactly. But what's remarkable is that Hunter's breakthrough came from associating ideas from seemingly different domains.
Okay.
He wasn't just trying to build a better stent.
Right.
He was tackling the root problem, why traditional stents often failed.
It sounds like he was thinking beyond the immediate challenge and looking for solutions in unexpected places.
He was. By associating the issue of scar tissue buildup with the properties of certain drugs,
Uh-huh.
he came up with this brilliant idea of a stent that actively prevented this complication.
That's a game changer. It makes you wonder how many other medical breakthroughs are waiting to be discovered
Right.
by simply making these kinds of connections.
It's a reminder that innovation doesn't always mean inventing something entirely new. It can also come from reimagining existing solutions in new contexts.
Okay.
The book also points out that this kind of associative thinking played a huge role in the evolution of personal computers.
Oh, interesting. How so?
Think about it. The graphical user interface, the mouse, even the concept of a desktop. These were all radical innovations
Right.
that came from associating familiar concepts from the physical world
Okay.
with the digital realm.
That's brilliant. They took something we all understood, interacting with physical objects,
Yeah,
and applied it to the digital world,
exactly.
making computers more intuitive and user-friendly.
Exactly. And that accessibility opened up computers to a whole new audience.
Right.
It's a powerful example of how associating can lead to truly transformative innovations.
Absolutely. Now, what about questioning?
Yeah.
Any memorable examples of how asking the right questions has led to innovation?
Oh, tons.
Yeah.
Well, the story of A.G. Lafley's turnaround of Procter & Gamble really stood out to me. The book talks about how he was obsessed with understanding the customer, and he did that by constantly asking questions.
He was relentless.
He was.
Yeah.
He bombarded his team with questions like, who is your target consumer?
Right.
What does she want? What are her unmet needs?
And those questions led to some of P&G's most successful products, like Swiffer, Crest White Strips,
yeah,
and Febreze. Right.
exactly. Lafley's questioning wasn't just about finding answers. It was about challenging assumptions
Okay.
and inspiring his team to think differently about their products and customers.
Interesting.
It shifted the entire culture at P&G,
Wow.
making it much more customer-centric and innovative.
It's amazing how simply shifting from providing answers to asking questions can have such a ripple effect.
It's huge.
It reminds me of how we talked about questioning being the engine that drives the other discovery skills.
It absolutely is. And it's not just about the leaders asking questions.
Right.
Innovative companies create processes and systems that encourage questioning at all levels.
We mentioned Toyota's 5 whys technique, which is a perfect example.
Right. By repeatedly asking why, you get to the root cause of a problem,
Yeah,
which is essential for finding an effective solution.
totally. But what about observing?
Yeah.
Did any examples of keen observation particularly resonate with you?
Well, the story of Ratan Tata, and the Tadamano is a classic. But I was also struck by the book's discussion of IDEO, the design firm.
Oh, yeah. IDEO.
They take observation to a whole new level.
They do.
Oh, how so?
They believe that the best way to solve a problem is to truly understand the people who are experiencing it.
Okay.
So they go to great lengths to observe people in their natural environments to see how they interact with products and services.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
It's about going beyond focus groups and surveys and really getting into the user's world.
Exactly. And that immersive approach has led them to design some truly innovative products, from the first Apple mouse to the Steelcase Leap chair.
That's really cool. They even redesigned a hospital experience by observing patients, nurses, and doctors in action, which led to some remarkable improvements.
It sounds like they're taking the detective work of observation to a whole new level.
They are.
But observing on your own can only take you so far, right?
Right.
Eventually, you need to bring in other perspectives.
Yeah.
Which brings us to networking.
Yep.
Any standout examples of the power of idea networking?
The story of Mike Lazaridis and the BlackBerry is a great one, of course, but the book also highlights how companies like Google and P&G have formalized idea networking as part of their innovation strategy.
Oh, I'd love to hear more about that.
Okay.
How do they do it?
Well, Google's famous 20% time, where employees can dedicate a portion of their time to pursue their own projects, is a great example. It encourages employees to connect with each other, share ideas, and collaborate on projects outside their usual roles.
It's like they're creating space for those water cooler moments to happen organically.
Yes.
But on a company-wide scale.
Exactly. And P&G has a program called Connect Plus Develop, where they actively seek out external partners, from researchers to suppliers, to contribute to their innovation process.
Interesting.
They recognize that the best ideas can come from anywhere.
That's a really smart approach.
Yeah.
It's about leveraging the collective intelligence of a diverse network.
It is. And it ties back to that idea of the Medici effect we talked about earlier.
Right.
By bringing together people from different backgrounds and disciplines, you create a fertile ground for innovation.
Absolutely. But let's not forget about the importance of experimenting.
Right.
The book is filled with stories of innovators who weren't afraid to try new things, test their assumptions, and even fail in the pursuit of something truly groundbreaking.
Exactly. Yeah, the book really emphasizes that failure is an inevitable part of the innovation process.
It is.
Any examples of companies that have embraced this fail fast, learn faster mentality?
Well, the book talks extensively about Amazon.
Oh, yeah.
And their culture of experimentation.
Right.
They're constantly testing out new ideas, launching new products and services, and seeing what works.
They're not afraid to throw things at the wall and see what sticks.
Exactly. And they have processes in place to capture those learnings.
Yes.
Even from the failures.
Yeah.
And share them throughout the organization.
They have this 2-pizza rule for their development teams.
I've heard of that.
Yeah.
Which means that teams should be small enough to be fed by 2 pizzas.
Exactly.
It's like a clever way to encourage agility and experimentation.
It is. Smaller teams can move faster, try out new things, and pivot more easily if something isn't working.
Yeah.
And it creates a more collaborative and less hierarchical environment, which is conducive to innovation.
It sounds like they've really baked experimentation into their DNA.
They have. And their willingness to experiment has led to some of their most successful innovations, like Amazon Prime. It was a risky move when they first launched it, but it's now one of their most valuable assets.
It's amazing how their willingness to embrace risk and failure has paid off in such a big way.
Yeah.
But experimenting isn't just for big tech companies, right?
Absolutely not. The book highlights examples from all sorts of industries. IDEO builds prototyping into their design process, which allows them to test out ideas and get feedback early on. And companies like Intuit do extensive user testing to refine their products and ensure they're meeting customer needs.
It sounds like experimenting is all about applying the scientific method to the innovation process.
It is. It's about forming hypotheses, designing experiments, gathering data, analyzing the results, and then refining your approach based on what you've learned.
And it's about being willing to iterate and improve, to not get stuck in your ways.
Yes.
And to constantly be looking for ways to do things better.
Exactly. And that willingness to experiment, to constantly be pushing the boundaries, is what sets truly innovative companies apart.
So we've seen how these 5 discovery skills, associating, questioning, observing, networking, and experimenting, can be applied in all sorts of contexts.
Right.
From developing life-saving medical devices to designing user-friendly technology to building thriving companies.
Absolutely.
And the key takeaway here is that these aren't just abstract concepts.
Right.
They're actionable skills that anyone can cultivate. Welcome back to our deep dives into the innovator's DNA. We've uncovered these 5 key discovery skills and seen how they've fueled some pretty incredible innovations,
Right.
But I'm curious, what about the companies themselves?
Yeah.
What sets the truly innovative ones apart?
That's where the book gets really interesting. It's not enough to just have a few innovative people.
Right.
It's about creating a culture that systematically cultivates and amplifies these skills across the entire organization.
So it's like building an ecosystem where innovation can flourish?
Exactly.
But how do you actually do that?
Well, remember those 5 discovery skills.
Yeah?
The most innovative companies, they don't just talk about them.
Right.
They weave them into the very fabric of their operations.
So it's not just about encouraging people to be more innovative.
Right.
It's about embedding these skills into their processes, systems, everything they do.
Exactly. It becomes part of their DNA. Take hiring, for instance.
Okay.
Companies like Google, Apple, and IDEO, they don't just look for technical skills.
Right.
They actively seek out candidates who demonstrate those discovery skills.
It's like they're looking for people who are naturally curious.
Yeah.
Who ask insightful questions, who are keen observers.
Yes.
Who love to connect with others and explore new ideas.
Precisely. They recognize that these individuals are the ones who will drive innovation.
Right.
And once they've hired them,
Yeah.
they create environments that nurture and amplify those skills.
Okay, so how do they do that? What does that kind of environment look like?
Well, they create processes that encourage questioning, observation, networking, and experimentation.
Okay.
We already talked about Toyota's 5 Whys technique and Google's 20% time.
Right.
But there are so many other ways companies do this. Some hold innovation tournaments
Oh, interesting.
where employees pitch ideas.
Yeah,
Others have mentoring programs that pair experienced innovators with newer ones.
I like that.
It's really cool.
It sounds like they're creating a space where it's safe to experiment, to take risks, to really play with ideas.
They are. But it's not just about processes and systems.
Right.
Leadership plays a huge role, too.
Okay.
The book argues that innovative companies are almost always led by innovative leaders.
Leaders who embody those discovery skills themselves and set an example for the rest of the company.
Exactly. Think about leaders like Jeff Bezos at Amazon,
Right.
A.G. Lafley at P&G, and Steve Jobs at Apple.
Yeah.
They weren't just running their companies, they were
Yeah.
actively leading the innovation charge.
But let's be real, fostering innovation isn't always easy. There are bound to be challenges, right? Like, what happens when those experiments fail?
Yeah, that's a great question.
Yeah.
That's where company culture becomes critical.
Okay.
Innovative companies embrace failure as a learning opportunity.
I see.
They understand that it's an inevitable part of the process.
So it's not about avoiding failure, it's about learning from it.
Exactly. They create a culture where it's safe to fail,
Okay.
where people aren't punished for taking risks.
Yeah.
They view failure as a valuable data point, not a sign of weakness.
That's such a crucial distinction. It takes the fear out of trying new things.
It does, and it requires strong leadership.
Right.
Leaders who are willing to model this behavior and
Ah.
create an environment where people feel comfortable sharing their ideas, even the ones that might not work out.
It's about fostering a culture of psychological safety, where people trust that they can take risks without fear of repercussions.
Absolutely. That's the foundation of a truly innovative culture.
So what's the big takeaway here for our listeners?
Yeah.
Are we all destined to become the next Steve Jobs?
Not necessarily,
Right.
but that's not the point. What this book so brilliantly illustrates is that innovation isn't some magical quality that some people have and others don't. It's a set of skills, behaviors, and mindsets that can be learned and cultivated.
It's about understanding those 5 discovery skills.
Yeah.
The innovator's DNA.
Yes.
And actively putting them into practice.
Exactly. It's about creating your own Medici effect.
Right.
Seeking out diverse experiences.
Yeah.
Asking disruptive questions. Observing the world with a keen eye.
Right.
Networking with people who challenge your thinking.
Yeah.
And experimenting relentlessly.
And for those leading teams or organizations,
Right.
it's about building a culture, an ecosystem, where these behaviors are encouraged, supported, and celebrated.
Yes.
It's about making innovation part of your DNA.
Absolutely. And that's what's so exciting about this book.
Yeah.
It empowers us to take control of our own innovative potential.
Right.
And to create a world where innovation is the norm, not the exception.
Well said.
Thank you.
And on that note, we've reached the end of our deep dive into the Innovator's DNA.
Wow.
I hope you found this exploration as insightful and thought-provoking as I have.
I really enjoyed it.
Me too.
It's been great.
I hope it inspires you to unlock your own innovative potential.
Yeah, absolutely.
Go out there, ask those disruptive questions, observe the world around you, connect with diverse perspectives, experiment fearlessly, and who knows what you might create.
Exactly.
Until next time, deep divers, keep exploring, keep learning, and keep innovating.
Awesome. See you next time.